So we got robbed at night. Okay? I remember this story so well because I feel like it's the funniest, scariest experience that I've ever had in my life. So stay tuned and listen to the whole story. Did I say hi? Did I say hi? Hi. Subscribe, like, comment. Let's get into the video. Okay, my mom lives in Zomba. That's a city it's a city in Malawi. And then I used to learn in Kasungu. So we used to take a bus from Blantyre to Kasungu. There was no bus from Zomba to Kasungu. Like a proper bus that my mom would feel safe for me to take. So I'd have to go like some days before school starts. I'd have to go to Blantyre to go get a bus, which means I'd have to go stay with my aunt. And yeah, it was okay. It was always okay because my aunt is a wonderful person. I never had problems with her. So yeah, I was there with my cousin because she was also, I think, learning in Blantyre. So during the holidays, after some time, she would have to go. It was like a meeting place for everybody because Blantyre is where all the buses would be taken or all the schools would be. So it was a meeting place for everybody. So I remember it was me and my cousin, the only little girls in the house. I'm remembering a certain part of the story. I hope I don't forget to tell it. But yeah, and then there was my aunt's son and my other two cousins. Yeah, I think so. And then my aunt. Okay? So that's like six people in the house. And the girls were the youngest, right? So we used to have a little room on the corner on our own. We're there. And then the boys had like the first room you find. And then my aunt's room was like far in some corner also. But the house had really nice acoustics. So you could hear everything that happens. Now, the night of the robbing, all I know is at some point I went to sleep. And normally when it's hot, as hot as it is now, yes, it is hot. I usually don't sleep with clothes on. So, or very little, I usually sleep with like very little clothing because simultaneously there's also a lot of mosquitoes, so you can't sleep completely with nothing. You have to have a little bit of covering. So as usual in the heat, I slept with like a tiny dress or something like that. Like my nightie was so small, and I was a child also, so there was like nothing to cover either way. I would walk around the house like that either way. So then, and my cousin was wearing like, I think she was wearing like proper pajama pants, but like spaghetti top. But her outfit was more conservative compared to mine. Because she was slightly older also. She's like 4 years older than me. Okay, so then we're sleeping. And then all of a sudden we hear banging on our door. Pa, 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 pa. Okay? Pa, 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 pa. And then we're like, okay, first of all, it's not even locked. And I'm there just sleeping, not minding anybody's business, not minding who's knocking on the door. Because I'm like, I'm the youngest person in this house. I don't think that person is looking for me. If they're banging, they're probably looking for the older person in this bed. So I do not mind. I'm just there turning, and then they finally opened the door. I don't know why they were knocking very hard when they didn't even try to open the door. Anyways, I don't get. And then I remember two guys coming in. So there was one very harsh looking one. Okay, I'm laughing because I thought all along, maybe because I was a kid, I don't know. But even when I try to remind my cousins, it's like, yeah, those guys were just weird. So two people came inside the room, right? Two people came inside the room, and then they're like, we're here to steal. Okay. So then my cousin's trying like, oh, okay, fine, what do you want? This conversation is real, guys. This conversation is real. We're here to steal. And my cousin goes, what do you want? And then they're like, we want your clothes. We want your clothes. We want your money. We want everything. So the guy even speaking didn't look convincing, to be honest. Maybe it was just my childhood eyes. And then there was another guy on the side now. He was like, I feel like he was new to the business, or he was just following. I don't know. Because he was there. Me and him were just looking at each other like, I don't know what's happening. So we're just looking at each other, and these guys, the older guys, are speaking. So now the scary guy had a rusty knife in his hands. They're like, we're gonna hurt you. Just give us everything. So then my cousin's like, okay, take the suitcase there. That was my suitcase. She's busy giving away my suitcase. Anyways, there wasn't much. There was this clothes, and my aunt hadn't given me money yet, so I didn't have money. I don't think there was any money for school yet. So I think initially I was gonna go to school and then they would send me pocket money later. So then he's like, so then he's like, okay, no. She's like, oh, the guy now is like, we have money that we have stolen from the other rooms. Now we need a bag. Then we're like, Ujeni. So my cousin now is like, Ujeni, take the underwear bag. I think that's the smallest bag because we don't have any other bag. So then he's like, okay, fine, we're taking the bag. Should we also take the underwear? So then my cousin's like, I don't think so. Do you need it? Then they're like, I don't think we need it. So where are we going to put the underwear? And then my cousin is like, put it on top of the suitcase, because then there was my suitcase. All the things that she was giving away were mine. The bag with the underwear, everything was mine. So then she's like, okay, take out the underwear and put it on the suitcase and then take the bag. They're like, we're also taking the suitcase, by the way. Then she's like, okay, then just pass me the underwear. So then you can imagine this scene though. You can imagine how weird. I'm just looking like, am I supposed to be scared? I mean, I've seen robberies in the movies, and am I supposed to be scared of this? Honestly. So me as a child there, I'm just staring like, negotiating with thieves. And then looking at his rusty knife like, okay, fine. It does sound, I mean, it is dangerous at the end of the day. A knife is a knife. But I feel like it would take a lot for him to actually cut us with that knife. Anyways, and then and then he takes the suitcase, right? So then he leaves. And then he leaves with his little friend. Remember, he came with like his Robin, him being Batman. He came with his Robin and then he left. And then the Robin guy comes back and he's like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We have to do this because, times are hard. We really have to steal, but it's not like we're not good people. Forgive us, please. Especially forgive my friend and me. It's my first time. So he don't what. So then he's talking to us there and my cousin is trying to understand him and everything. And then now his friend. Okay, so it's a Malawian thing where the cool kids, for example, if your name is Dennis, they're going to cut the name Denny and then swap the syllables. So Dennis will probably be an ED, right? Now, okay, fine. Putting that explanation aside, someone comes in and goes, Iwe Kima. Iwe means you, okay? Just calling out a person. So Iwe Kima, come, type of thing. So then we just took note of the Kima part, right? Because my cousin was scared. My cousin was scared. She knew it was a robbery, what. I was just there like, what is happening? Why doesn't it look as scary as I thought it would be? But anyways, and then they drag us out. Now, the guy who came to call Kima came into the room and is like, you girls need to come also this side. We've tied up the boys and we have your mother. And then now at that point I'm like, okay, a little bit scared, like, why do you have my aunt, what. And then we go to the boys' room and all the boys are tied up. They have their phones, they have their bags, they have their certificates, they have literally everything that was in their room. Like everything that looked like a valuable. Not exactly their beds and stuff, but yeah, everything that looked like a valuable. So they tied down the boys, and now me and my sister, because apparently we looked harmless, they didn't tie us up. And then now we hear our aunt crying because from her room there was the lounge and then our bedrooms. So she was there in the lounge crying now out loud because there was another one there right on top of her. And then she's like crying out my name, Priscilla, go get my medicine, my asthma medicine. So I'm like, auntie, maybe I'm just too young, but have you ever suffered from asthma? How is this in your development? Or maybe you have robber-induced asthma that I didn't know about. I don't know. So then my cousin is just like, just go get her bag. Because apparently she had gotten the hint that go get auntie's bag so that she keeps her money and her stuff. So she was pretending to say, go get my medicine so that she can have her bag and they don't tamper with it. So then I'm like, Madala Sima. And then she's like, no, just go get my bag. I need my medicine. Remember, she really thought I was fast enough to get the hint, guys. Up to my cousin went to go. went to get the bag and she gave it to her, like, I think your medicine is in here. The whole time I'm just confused, like, guys, how come she never told me that she's asthmatic? And then after that, I remember after that, I was there with my aunt, now feeling bad. Maybe she's about to have an asthma attack, what, believing that she's asthmatic. And then the robbers now go, I think somewhere outside, and then they start talking about how, but we need to come back because we didn't take a car this time. This house is loaded. We need to come back to get more stuff. And then the guy who called Kima the first time came back to where my aunt was, and then he's like, because I think he was the ringleader, and then he's like, by the way, we've only taken a few things, so we're gonna come back next week with a truck, okay? So then they leave, and funny enough, the guard, he pretended, okay, I don't know what happened, obviously, but I remember his shoes were like, they were like, you know how when you take off your shoes, they're like in a certain pattern, you put one here and you put one there. That's how the guard's shoes were. But then he said, oh, they just tied me up and threw me on the other side of the gate, what. So we never really believed the guard. And then at the end of the day, we really found out that they were friends and everything. And then now everything is all done, and then my aunt has everything safe. Turns out one of my male cousins slipped one of his phone on, before they stole everything, he just put his phone on the side. So he had his phone, my aunt had his phone, us girls never had phones. And yeah, it's now they just lost things like their degrees, what, which to me in my head at that moment was like, can't you just get another one written? It didn't make sense to me why they were worried. Like, we're still alive, guys. But yeah, and then my aunt, she's like, did you guys hear any name? At that point, I'm like, I don't know, we didn't really hear anything. We just heard someone call Kima. So then she's like, that's probably Mark. Remember? Kima is probably Mark. Yeah. So the next day she went to the police, reported that. Actually, the next day I was going to school, so we went to school. I heard that they moved like a week later. And 2 weeks later, they moved a week later and swapped with somebody else. The first week that the other couple was in there, they also got robbed. Apparently it was the same people. Wow, they were serious. They were really good communicators, these people. And I remember when we were leaving, like when I was leaving the next day, because we didn't clean up anything. When we were leaving the next day, we found a pot of rice already eaten, and we didn't have any remainder relish or anything like that. So I think they just ate the rice and threw the pot away. I'm like, these guys came hungry. These guys came without knowing what they want to take. They were amateurs, honestly. But I thank God at the end of the day that we still survived. But every time I think of this fun story, it's so funny. It always makes me laugh, because then it's like, we were actually talking to those people, and there was one that apologized. And because of the name Kima, Mark, they found the people, because apparently they had been robbing the neighborhood a lot. So that was my story about the time that we got robbed at night. There's another story of the time that we got robbed in the afternoon, and I am the only... No, now you can picture the kind of child I was. I was a very interesting child. So there was a time even that we got robbed in the car because there was a window open. Okay, anyways, that's another story of another day. I hope you enjoyed the story time. Today I was just in the mood of telling this funny story because I remembered it. Please like, please subscribe, and stay awesome.